How's it going, everybody? It's your boy McWhoopin, and today we are back with yet another episode of Cities Skylines. However, today we're doing something a little bit different. We are, instead of actually playing my standard Let's Play tutorial, my Let's Play tutorial, showing everybody kind of me going through my city. Today we're actually going to be doing a series of tutorials. This is the first one, which is going to be how to get the perfect start to your city. This way you can actually get as much money as you possibly can going through, get yourself past the first milestone in positive cash flow, and make sure that everything is good to go so you can get that perfect start every single time. Just follow these simple steps. And while I'm doing this, I'm also going to explain all the different nuances of the game. So although this will normally be a little bit quicker to do this sort of thing, doing the explanation of all the different settings and buttons and all that stuff was going to make this last a little bit longer. Now, for this game itself, I do have like all my mods set up that I would normally play with. It's just I'm not going to really be using them. This could be done in vanilla. You don't need to have any mods to do this start. I just been too lazy to actually uninstall all the mods and then put them back in afterwards. So we're just working with the mods as we have them. So first things first, we have ourselves a city. This is like bog standard map that you actually get on when you actually purchase the game. This is the grassy knolls one. So it's very basic map. Everybody has had this map. Everybody started on this map at some point. So first thing you do is you grab yourself a road. Small, doesn't matter which road you get. Just probably going to go as small as possible because you don't get a full refund on the roads. But first thing you're going to do is literally build a single unit road. So that's it. Just very small, single unit, 40 construction. You're building that. Now, if you actually see on the bottom here, a bunch more things end up changing. We got our economy menu, we got a bunch more roads, and we got access to our water and power. This is what we needed. So we can now take that, delete that little road because we don't need that. This is our bulldoze button that we have. So we want to get that, use that. And now for me, this is kind of a personal preference. Each person kind of does things their own way, but I like to extend my road going into town a little bit farther just to make sure I have the better spacing. So here we're going to go another 20 in, go like that, and then you actually look where see how the grid pops up to show you the lines. You know exactly where to go back down, and then you have your perfect parallel lines going back and forth, and this gives you a little bit of an extension on your roadway. Now from here, what I do is I'm gonna have to start connecting that together, and I'll come out here about 6 long, like so, and then I'll come down here because there's these different buttons for when you're on the road. You have your straight line, your curved, your free form, and your upgrade. This is parallel line. This is actually a mod. I don't have to worry about that one. I'll explain that later in another episode when we're talking about mods. But your straight line is very simple, straightforward. It allows you to draw a straight line. Where the curved road pulls open and you select which direction you want to go and how far, and then you click first time, and then you adjust your angle for your road. And the third option, which is free form, is it's kind of the same thing as the curve. Click, and you can actually adjust your angles considerably more. Plus you can keep it going after you've done your initial roadway, so you can kind of snake things around back and forth along everything. And you, of course, left click to select it, and you can right click to actually cancel. So back to here. After drawing the straight line going 6 out, what I'll do is I will go out another 6 with my curved, select it, 6 in to actually give a nice symmetrical curve. Go here again, another 6, which lines up perfectly. And then we will go back to straight line, go to here, which is where that one ends off, and then another 6, so it matches the other side. Click on the curve once more, 6, over by 6, 6 again, over by 6. Everything matches up, everything is asymmetrical. It gives a perfect little oval for people to drive around and reduce your traffic issues that will eventually come up, and they will eventually come up. So that's the reason why I put the traffic circle in there. So it makes it easier for people to get around. And so the next thing you want to do is get yourself a road. So you can either do medium roads or your larger roads, so getting a 4-lane or a 6-lane road. Generally, like with this, would usually be a major road going in, so I'll generally try to go 6 just to give that extra bit of space. And we'll do that for your size. Just a big opening road to kind of start off with. And we'll do this on each side, because one of these is going to be for your residential, which I'm going to put on this side, and the other side is going to be your industrial, which is going to be kind of over here. We're going to keep it far away from your residential, just so people don't get sick. Because when it comes to your Sims, if they're near pollution, or if they're getting water sources that are polluted, they will get sick and die. So you want to make sure you keep that sort of stuff away from them. And now the next thing that I normally do is want to make sure that we get this done early, which is going into your economy section here. This is one of the most important parts of starting off a game properly and making sure you actually make some money, is by going into your economy section and cranking down your roads, your power, and your water. Doing this saves a lot of money because you're not going to be paying as much in terms of maintenance and upkeep on your roads, your power, and your water. Plus, even just the standard budget will last you, I think, almost until your second milestone before you can have to start increasing. So it uses a lot of growth before you can have to start bumping up these rates, and you can just kind of slowly increase it as you go along until you're making a good amount of money. One other kind of pro tip that people like Biffa use a lot is even once you get to 100% here, you can actually keep it going to 150. So say your power is maxed out and you're starting to get roaming brownouts and blackouts, you can just increase your budget for your power over 100% up to 150, so you can keep on increasing it and save yourself a little bit of money before having to actually invest in buying another plant, which early in the game, the $10,000 or $12,000 or whatever it is, like this guy here is $19,000. That's a lot of money when you're really early in the game, especially when you're starting with $70,000. So it can help you out quite a bit to use the economy screen to kind of boost up your power and your your power and your water to kind of get yourself a little more boosting it up, so you can save yourself before having to purchase the power plants or the water things when you need them. So you can save up a little bit longer, and you're not going to be having people without water or without power. So it's just a way to kind of help stem the tide of having to make that bigger purchase until you're moving a little bit further on. So now that we have our roads coming into town. That's all set up. Now we're going to have to start building kind of our smaller road network for where our residential, commercial, and industrial are going to be. Now, the cheapest way to do this would be to actually go with 2-lane gravel. This way, you'd actually have small gravel roads through here, which costs only 20 per unit. So, like that, like this here would cost me 200. Whereas opposed to if I'm going with the regular road, just a basic 2-lane, doing that same 10 unit, cost me 400. So you can actually save a lot of money by using this road, and you're literally cutting your road budgets in half. I tend to not do it just because I'm gonna have to upgrade it eventually anyways, and I am far too lazy to do that sort of thing, so I just kind of give up on it and just do my own thing. So yeah, I'm going to go with just the basic standard 4 lanes. And if you actually look at the circle here, at my mouse, you can actually see there's 2 circles. The smaller circle is the width of the road, but the larger circle is the sphere that surfaces. So when you're building a road, it will actually give you access to the 4 squares behind the road on either side, which is where you'd be able to build your build your buildings, stuff like that. So which maximum residential building that grows on its own is 4 squares. So that's one of the things when you're actually building and you're placing your zoning, the things are only going to grow 4 squares, so to maximize your space, you're going to want to make sure you keep things as tight as possible, like this. So now you're looking at everything's actually in a proper grid. So if you, for example, I come out to here, and then move this down, see there's actually a gap of 3 squares over there, another gap of 3 squares over here. This gap can't be filled in by your zoning, but when you have larger buildings, like for example your schools or your hospitals, stuff like that, which might be larger than 4 squares, this is going to be helpful, so it won't affect this side of the road if you place a school here, because it would actually come into this middle area here. And that's why you want to adjust your roads, but it's kind of based off of how you really feel about and how you want to design your network. It's to determine which way you want to go with this. For each person, they're all going to do things differently, so it's all going to be based off of personal style. But from here, you want to kind of just keep on going. One more over. You know what? We can go that. And it's kind of asymmetrical, but at least each side here has its own little bit of a gap, so you can place a little more on that side, a little more on that side. Again, this is all going to be a personal preference on how you actually want to start your city to begin with. If you want to start doing more grid patterns, or if you want to go with like a free form and kind of do like windy road intersections. That's what I tend to try to do more of, just because this seems a little more basic and boring. That's why I tend to not to do it, but to each their own. If you want to do it, giver. Again, it's your city. It's exactly how you want it to be, so you should do it however you want to do it. So, there we go. So we got ourselves. This is going to be our industrial area. We have a little bit of a grid there, and that is pretty much the basics to kind of start yourself off with the city. So your roads are now more or less planned out. Now the next thing to do is going to be wanting to get your power. Now, yeah, early in the game, you don't have very many options, so you pretty much have your wind turbine or your coal power plant, which the wind turbine can produce 0 to 8 megawatts, where the coal power plant will produce 40. So it produces a lot more power. However, it does pump out a lot of pollution, which is a downside to it, where the wind turbine produces a lot less power, but clean power. So don't really need to issue it for it, and you also don't need to have it connected to any roads, where the coal power plant you do. I tend to go coal just because you're going to be needing the power, and it's just easier for me because I don't have to constantly be rebuilding plants all the time. Because with these, you're constantly popping up turbines. Plus, again, in the long run, it's also cheaper. So first things first we do, pop in that power plant right there. Good to go. Now, in the vanilla version, you actually have to run power lines to make sure your power gets to the right places. So that's what I'm going to be doing right here. Go, got ourselves a power plant, power lines running through, running across, and we'll run that all the way through to here. And then we're going to be running that up here. The reason why we're running it up here is because we're going to have to put our water pipes and stuff like that, and our so we're going to need connection near the water, so running it all the way over to there. One other thing I am going to do, I'm going to be running this to there, and straight to there. This will come, you'll understand why in a couple of seconds, but because I'm going to be needing power in the circle, I'm running the line straight up and getting over there. So now we have our power set up, our lines are run, we have it going into our residential area, our commercial, our industrial areas here, and our commercial is going to be along the road, so everything should be covered as it builds up. So next thing we're going to want to do is get our water running. So for getting water to our sims, you have two options. You have your pumping station and your water tower. Your pumping station produces a lot more water per week. It's also a little bit cheaper, $2,500 to $3,500. And you see it's 12,000 meters cubed per week as opposed to 6,000 for the water tower. But the difference is that the water pumping station has to be placed by the water for it to get water. Because look at the number, Cities construction $2,500, but estimated production is 0 meters per week. You put it here, you have the full 120 because it's in water. But your water tower, you can't build it on water, but you can build it anywhere on land, and it doesn't matter where you put it, it's gonna produce water. Now, placing it here in this traffic circle, which is kind of a dead zone area anyways, allows you to have your water in a centralized spot. They can move out to wherever you need to go, and it's going to be far enough away from the grunginess of the industrial that it's not going to be polluted, and it's just the perfect way to do this, at least in my opinion, since you're not going to have to worry about pollution, especially when you're using your water drain pipes, which the sewage does actually go follow the what's called the water. So if you actually see, the water is actually going downwards this way. So if I put, for example, the water sewage plant here, and if I actually put like the pumping station right here, it would actually be pumping in all the raw sewage. Everyone would get sick and die. So I ended up having to place my sewage pipe over here, my water intake over here, just so it doesn't get polluted. But eventually the sewage will actually start creeping up and actually eventually even reach these pumps. It will take a while, but it'll eventually do it. So I tend to not have fresh water pumped in. I'll tend to always use water towers just because they end up being a safer option and reduce chances of death. And so I'm putting this as close as I can to the water, the power lines here. So now we know that has power, those have power, and we're good to go. So the last thing we're going to need to do is we have to set up our water pipes. Thankfully, our water pipes have a huge area of effect, so I can just run this straight across like so. You can see the blue area is how far it actually covers, so it covers quite a bit. And just kind of run that over like so. And run this straight down here like so. And what I normally do is try to have a little bit of overlap, but not very much. About a square is perfect for me. And we can just run this all the way down here like so. This one will run a little bit farther like so. Connected to our output. And this point here, we're not going to actually go any farther than this, just because we're one lane short, and even having just this one square, sometimes you will actually get the water pipes not working properly, so I will not actually put any residential on that last line. But here we're going to kind of do the exact same thing, run it this way, get nice symmetrical grids. From there to there, and then over here, and there we go. So now we have our industrial set up with water, our residential set up with water, and we can possibly even go up a little bit farther. And set up the next line. Now that one ready to go, even though we are pretty close to being broke, but we do have everything we need to set up our network. So we have our water, we have our power, we have our roads for going around. So right now what I want to do is we're going to go back to a large road, and I'm going to a little bit of a bend here, like so, just so it's actually ready. So it's gonna start going up that way and covering into this area over here, and then we'll grab a small road back to flat. And now we're pretty much done. So this is as much as we can get done, because now we're down to like the last $170. So thankfully our zoning is free, so we can just zone however we want. Now with zoning, there are four different options. There's your fill, which it fills in the entire area that's connected. So whatever size it is, up to a certain point. If it won't fill up like the entire map, it only has a certain amount of reach. So yeah, you can just do that to fill in that certain area. There's also your marquee, which is kind of your drag and drop to fill everything. And then there's your small brush, which is pretty much just a single dot that you actually can fill in with. And then there's your large one, which is the same, is just a larger brush. Very simple. Now, for me, I normally use either the fill or the marquee. Just ends up being easier that way. And so it's all left click, and then if you actually are in this and you actually hold down the right mouse button and do this, you can actually delete your zones, or you just use dezone and left click, and that will actually dezone as well. So those are your two ways to kind of to zone and dezone. As I said, for me, normally I'll use the fill or the marquee to kind of get this going. There you go. Don't need that one, don't need that one. And then on this side here, click on the fill. And then the rest of this, oops, doodle. And then go that over again. Do this one more time. That one once more. Sure, it's on residential again. Now we can come back in here, fill in the rest of that, and we'll even fill in this square here. That's now done. And then come over here to this one, get our industrial in there, because we're going to need that. Now I don't want to have anything built on this roadway here, so that's why I'm using the marquee over here. So just because you don't want anybody stopping there, because it's just going to destroy your traffic. So that's why I'm using this to do more precision to highlight it, so I don't have that issue happening here. It's also the same thing with the traffic circles. You don't want to have any businesses or anything on the traffic circle, because it will cause massive traffic jams. So that's why I do it this way. That's why most of the people do it this way. And there you go. So the last thing we'll do, just gonna take that off, and here I'll take that off to make sure we're not worrying about the water. And now we will finally hit start and actually have the timer start going. And now you can see immediately how all the buildings are starting to actually populate. We'll actually just click this up. There's your 3 time speeds is your regular time, your double time, and there's like 10 times time, or because I don't think it's 4. I think it's actually more than that. But that'll actually speed up everything going. So as you see, like, you got all your housing starting to be built now. You have your commercial starting to take shape now. Everything has water, everything has power, everything's properly connected. And if you can actually see here, our money, we're losing money, but it's actually going down constantly, and that's because we actually did, because we are gaining more people all the time, but because we actually dropped off our economy and we're not paying so much money for our roads and our power and our water, this is actually going down a lot faster than normally would, because we're not paying as much utilities. So like right now we're already at 258 people, and we're almost making money now. So we haven't even reached our first milestone, and here we go. We are now in the positives. So even before our first milestone, we're making money. This is pretty much your perfect start. Like I said, if you actually did dirt roads, you could actually do more roadway, get more of a grid going, build up a little bit earlier, save a little more money, possibly not even be in the negatives at all, because you'd be saving about $2,000. And I know these roads would cost more than $2,000. So we could easily still have been in the positives, but now we're making $500 a week here, so we're doing really good. And we're just literally just sitting through until the milestone pops up, which should pop up in like literally a couple of seconds here. Well, we're just waiting for the number to actually hit, and there we go. We got our 440, and we hit our little hamlet, which is pretty much your perfect start. So now, after you get to your little hamlet, you have access to your taxes and your first set of loans. You have new services like the garbage industry, your healthcare, and your education campus. These are all the new buildings that you get, your landfills, your school, your elementary school, your medical clinic. You also get access to the recycling center and the the garbage landfill site, and so that those are some of the big things you're going to need for your citizens to be happy, and we'll go over those in the next episode. But for now, we'll kind of leave it here as is. So I'm just going to give this a quick pause so we know where we're at. And look at this, we're at 19,000 already, making $785, $84. So we are good to go. Now, if you want to look here, quickly go to our budgets. Yeah, we're still at our 50%. Now we have more budget things to kind of go with, but we can leave those for now. So we do have a first loan that we can take if we wanted to. And we have access to our taxes. So it gives us a little more options. But as I said, this will all be for our next episode. We'll leave it here. This is kind of, as I said, how you can get your perfect start. So I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and everything to my channel, just to see if we can get this channel going a little bit more and get more people watching it. Because anytime you do any interaction with the channels, it does help with the algorithm, which gets more people watching, which is always going to be a good thing. So if you do, I'm always thankful for you guys who do this sort of thing. So thank you so much for that. As I said, I'm going to try to do this as more of a continuing series. As I said, work on the basics of the first couple of parts of the game, and then we'll kind of expand out onto different aspects of the game later on. So again, thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves a good night.